you guys. How are you today? It is day 4 of our budget rescue today. And I have my coffee. You guys, it is so cold in my office where I am right now. I have a heater, but we moved and I can't find it yet. So I'm literally, if you're wondering, are her lips purple? Yes, they are. It's freezing. So I have my steaming coffee that I'm trying to hold at the same time. All right, so day 4, here we are. Hopefully you guys got your homework last night for day 4. You guys were so close to the end. I hope you recognize the hard work that you've been doing and that it's that you deserve to be celebrated for the work that you're doing. This stuff is not easy, but it's good. It's good and it's necessary. You're here for a reason. You signed up for this for a reason, and so I'm guessing you need some help with your money and some guidance. And so so I'm happy and really honored to be able to be the person to help you with some of that. I know that money can sometimes be messy, and learning about money can sometimes be scary, especially when you do look at yourself and when you do have to learn and do new things and look at things differently. And so all of those emotions are normal, but it's such a good thing that you're here and hopefully you're getting something out of being here. So day 4. If you have not done your homework or if you've missed anything prior to this, make sure that you go back and watch and read and do your homework, because you putting forth the work is going to be how you get the most out of this. Okay, so for day 4, I left off in the email asking you to come up with some safeguards about some safeguards that you could come up with for how to spend less money in the category that you're choosing to start with. And I want to give you some examples of what I mean by that, just so that we are perfectly clear. I did get a lot of questions coming in about that, and I told you guys just to sit tight because I would give you some examples here today. So here are the examples, and I think you'll have a clear picture as to what I mean after I give you these examples. Okay. So I'm going to pick on groceries again and say that let's pretend that's one of your categories. And the reason I'm going to pick on groceries, actually, over in the Facebook group, I asked you guys to share with us one category that you were going to start with, the category you were going to start with. And there were a lot of people who did say groceries. And honestly, that does really excite me because, like I said in a different day, I think it was yesterday, It is a category that's really easy to save money in. It's one where you can start to see pretty big results right away. And so that makes me kind of excited that you guys are choosing that, because I know you can make a huge difference in groceries, really, especially if you've never really been paying attention before. I know that you, just by paying attention and making a few small changes like we've talked about, I know you can make a big difference. So that's super exciting. Okay. So let's say that you said, I want to do better with groceries. That's going to be my one category. So let's say that one of the pitfalls that you identified with why you spend too much on groceries is because you buy convenience foods too often. You pay for things like rotisserie chicken and food from the deli and the frozen meals and the pre-chopped, washed and ready to go vegetables and fruits and things like that. There's nothing wrong with those things. I'm not saying you can't buy those, okay? But that is something that's pretty easy to fix and cut out if you're wanting to change your grocery budget. But you're saying, but that's convenient. Those are convenience items. I'm busy. I don't have a lot of time. I need quick meals, quick snacks, quick lunches, things like that during the week. All right, I hear that part of it. But let me just be clear, you pay for that convenience. But here's the cool thing. You don't have to give up that convenience. So one of the safeguards you can put up about spending less money on your groceries is you're going to say, if that's you, if you buy some convenience foods, and again, this is just my example, so if it applies, great, and if not, I think it will help you choose a safeguard once we get through this little exercise. But so let's say that you do buy those convenience foods, and so you say, I'm going to buy those less or not at all. But I don't want to give up on the convenience. So then you just have to change what you're doing a little bit for that convenience. So what you're going to do then is you are going to spend some time. You could say this to yourself: I'm going to spend some time on the weekends washing and chopping my vegetables and getting some things ready for meals. I know we're going to use, you could meal plan, write out a simple meal plan if you've never done that, so that you could see, well, I'm going to need chicken twice this week, so I'm going to go ahead and grill that up right now, or I'm going to go ahead and bake that and shred it, or whatever it is. You're going to spend, let's say, 30 minutes to an hour on the weekend when you do have more time to give yourself some of the convenience of the convenience items that you're used to having, but you're also paying for. And you're going to do that on your own. Another thing that is pretty expensive and pretty pricey to pay for is all the individualized things that you might need for kids' lunches or for your lunches for work during the week. Well, you can buy and spend a lot less money buying your own bags of things and divvying those up into bags on the weekend. So that might be something else that you can do, because it is hard to give up convenience. So if you can just maybe meet in the middle and come up with some of your own convenience, and or do away with those convenience items altogether and do it yourself on the weekend, or commit to doing it during the week and just say, you know what, I'm going to suck it up, and instead of spending, a half hour doing this when I get home from work, I'm going to focus on getting lunches ready for the next day. Instead of, putting my feet up at 9, I'm going to wait until 9:30, and I'm going to spend that time getting things ready for lunches for the next day. Whatever it is, that is a safeguard that you're going to put up in place. You are recognizing that I'm buying too many convenience items. I know this is making my grocery budget higher than it should be, so I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to deal with those convenience items. And then you can still find a way, though, to have convenience when you need it. You just have to get more creative and take more of that on yourself. I say all the time, you are trading, when you want to save money, you're trading your time for money. But again, just like I said, maybe day 1 or day 2, I think, and I say this all the time in my money saving community, it's no different than having a job. A job is trading your time for money. The time you put in for work, you could be doing 1,001 other things, right? Probably things you'd rather be doing, but you do it, you show up, you go to work because you get a paycheck and you need that. And so it really is no different. The time you're going to spend on these money saving things, you're trading your time for money. You're going to save on your grocery bill because you're doing it this way. So that's an example of a safeguard. So let's pick on another one. Let's say Amazon or some other store shopping online. That's something that you need to give up. That's something that you need to really reel it in. And for me, I need to do this at different times, right? At times I realize I really need to reel in my spending. And so I'm going to put some safeguards in place for ways that I often will spend money. Now, again, I'm spending money that still is within my budget, and that's great. But at times like this, like right now, I need to reel in our spending even more, just because we're in a phase of life where I need to do that. We just moved into this new house. I don't know how much my bills are going to be here in terms of heat and all that stuff. We need to put in a driveway. We have other expenses. We need to put in a yard in the spring. So I'm trying to really reel in our spending and tighten the belt even more. And so this is a safeguard that I put in place, because I know I like to online shop and I like to deal shop. I am a deal shopper. I pay retail for nothing. Hear me when I say I pay retail for nothing, and mostly everything that I buy for pennies on the dollar, because I know how to do that. I've learned the tricks and the ins and outs of how to get amazing deals. But here's the thing, I don't want to spend my money on even those amazing deals right now, because I don't need them, right? If I need milk or butter or diapers or something else, I know how to go find those things, but I don't want to just mindlessly shop online. I don't want to go to Amazon. I don't want to see their deals. This was kind of a little bit of the homework that I asked you guys to do. For those of you who were joining us live, some of the pre-homework I asked you to do was unsubscribe from 3 stores, 3 of your favorite stores that you love, that send you marketing emails and tell you about all the savings and all the clearance and all the blowout, and here's a here's a coupon just for you. I love all those emails to my favorite stores, but they make me spend money. And I don't want to spend money right now. I want to put my money somewhere else, right? I want to have money to pay cash for putting in my driveway. I want to have money to pay cash for putting in my yard. I don't want to finance that stuff. I don't do that. So that means I need to have the money, which means I need to save the money. So all that to say, here's the safeguard that I'm putting in place, that I do put in place. I don't go to Amazon. I don't go to some of the deal websites that I like to shop. I don't want to see the deals, because here's the deal. And this is actually kind of like a bonus tip. A good deal, this is something I've had to learn and that I like to teach people. A good deal isn't necessarily a good deal for you at this time. And that's basically the philosophy that I have right now when I need to reel in our spending and make sure that I'm not spending anything extra. I only want to spend money on the essentials right now because I'm in a period of saving money. And so I need to know, and I have come to learn, that a good deal is not necessarily a good deal for me at this time. That's not to say down the road it wouldn't be a good deal for me, but right now this is not a good deal for me. So I'm not going to Amazon. I'm not going to any of my other favorite stores like Wayfair. I'm not going to my favorite deal websites because I don't want to be tempted. It's a safeguard I'm putting in place. So if one way that you spend too much money or spend money that you shouldn't have is shopping online, maybe you need to use this as a safeguard as well. Either don't go online to these places or go on them even less. If you say, well, it's too hard for me to give it up altogether, I do need to be able to go onto Amazon for this reason, then you can find a compromise. Again, I'm not here to tell you that all spending is bad. I'm not here to tell you that shopping on Amazon is bad. I'm not here to tell you any of those things. But I am telling you, again, like I've said before, and it bears repeating, that I'm not saying spending is bad, but I want you to be mindful of your spending and to spend money that you have and that you intend to spend on those things. I don't want you to end up discovering a great deal and then spending money on that great deal when you didn't wake up in the morning and say, I really need to buy X, Y, or Z. If you woke up and said, I need to buy X, Y, or Z, and then you find a great deal and you buy it, that's one thing. But it's totally another thing if you somehow are on your favorite website or in your email and you get an email telling you about an amazing deal, and the next thing you know, you bought something that you didn't really plan on buying, even though it was a good deal, right? If you don't have the money to spend, and if it's not mindful spending right now, that's what we're trying to cut out, okay? And so that's another example of a safeguard. If shopping online gets you in trouble, you need to put some safeguards in place to keep yourself from even being tempted to shop online, okay? So again, I'm going to repeat, a good deal isn't a good deal, might not be a good deal for you at this time. That's such an important thing. If you shouldn't afford it right now, and if you can't afford it, it's not a good deal for you, right? But this is what makes working with a budget such a good thing. And this is why I love things like the envelope system. If you have budgeted for money for entertainment or eating out, that was something else that some people put in the group that they want to do better with. That's the category that they're attacking right now. If you have budgeted $50 for eating out, you can spend that $50 on eating out guilt-free, right? The only thing you can't do is get to the $50 mark and keep spending there. And that's another thing that gets so many people into trouble with their budget, is they might create a budget, but they don't track it. But we talked about that already, right? We talked about tracking your spending. And even if they are tracking it and they know that they have gotten to the point of their $50, they keep spending. You can't. You have to shut it off until the next month. Then when you get the next month and you get the next $50 in your eating out budget or your entertainment budget, then you can do it again. That's another thing that gets people into trouble with their budgets. So, all that to say, let's quick review. I gave you guys so many amazing nuggets in this broadcast today that I didn't really even intend to give you. So I want to make sure that we stayed on track, but also that you get these nuggets of wisdom that are really good. The thing is most people justify their spending in any way they can in order to keep spending. And I don't want that to be you. We're really good at justifying that. But so for right now, we're looking at things with real, honest, and open eyes. Just like you guys were saying, I need to reel in my eating out. I need to reel in my spending on groceries. I need to reel in my spending on entertainment. All right, we're going to stop justifying it to ourselves. That's an important thing right there. That's another thing that gets people into trouble. We live in a society that says, I want this and I want it now. And if I can't pay for it now, I'm going to put it on credit right now, right? Bad. That's a bad thing. You should wait until you can afford something to buy it and stop justifying your spending. Because what happens after that? We talked about that way early in the week this week. Buyer's remorse. Most of us feel guilty when we're spending money. Eventually, when we spend money we don't have, we feel guilty about it. And we don't want that anymore either. That's also something you can spend money without feeling guilty. That's the really cool thing. When it's planned for, when it's budgeted, when you spend it at the right time, when you can actually afford it, it's guilt-free spending. And that's so much better than the spending that makes us feel guilty or have buyer's remorse. So let me quick run through these things today so I make sure you're not overwhelmed and you get your to-dos for day 4. Okay, so your first task is you've identified some of the pitfalls, you've identified where you want to do better. Now you need to put some safeguards in place. So you need to have a plan. Okay, so you want to stop spending as much money on entertainment. How are you going to do that? How are you going to keep yourself from doing that? And it's not enough usually just to say, well, I'm going to spend less money. We know where that gets us, right? It's kind of like a goal without ever coming up with any way you're going to accomplish that goal. It's something nice to say. It's something nice to think about. And yeah, that would be awesome. But if you don't have steps in place with how to do that, it's not going to happen. And so it's the same thing. With the categories that you want to stop spending money on, you need to put, I would suggest, three safeguards in place on that one category that you chose. Put 3 different safeguards in place to keep you from spending as much money in there. 3 changes, big changes that you need to make to help you stop spending money there. That's the point number 1 I want you to take away from there, okay? Point from today. Point number 2 that I want you to take away from today is something that I got off on a total aside, and that is a good deal isn't necessarily a good deal for you at this time. If you can embrace that truth, you're going to spend less money. Keep that in mind. And then the other thing that I want you to keep in mind for today is most people justify their spending however it takes, however they need to keep spending money. Stop doing that, okay? That's another major thing that you can do. It's small, but it's big, that you can do to stop spending as much money this year. And who doesn't want to be able to buy things without feeling guilty? It's so much nicer to buy things and feel good about it because you're supposed to be spending money. You're allowed to be spending money on that thing. And that's what it is when you have a budget, when you're sticking with it, when you're keeping with the amount, and when you're spending money when you actually have it to spend, instead of spending money when you want something. They don't always coincide. Oftentimes, myself included, we want things when we don't necessarily have the money for things, and you need to wait for those things. Here's the thing. If you want different results, if you want to be sitting in a different place at the end of 2019 than you are now, you have to stop doing things the same old way. You have to start doing things different. And today I shared with you some pretty massive things that you can do. They're small, but they have massive results. If you can do these 3 things that I just shared with you, put some safeguards in place for your spending pitfalls, recognize that a good deal isn't always a good deal for you at this time. And number 3, stop justifying your spending. If you can do these 3 things, that right there is a huge step in the right direction for doing things differently. Because the fact is that if you're not doing things differently, if you're not spending money differently, now, and you guys, it's early 2019. You guys are in the perfect position. But the thing is if you're not spending money differently, you're going to be in the same place. And so that's important to recognize. And so for day 4, I want you to embrace those 3 truths, and I want you to put in 3 safeguards in place, or 3 different I want you to come up with a game plan for 3 different ways that you're going to spend less money in the category you're choosing. You have to have a plan. Okay, so that's what you're doing today. You're coming up with a plan. All right? Okay, watch for your email tonight, and I will see you for the teaching tomorrow.